I'm your host, and here on Gurvion, we explore the stories, mysteries, and hidden truths that most people never stop to question. And one more thing, I want to be completely transparent with you. Some of the visuals in this video are created with the help of AI, but the research, storytelling, editing, and voiceover are my own work. When winter descends on northern Greenland, the ocean stops moving. The churning dark water drops below freezing and solidifies across the massive fjords. In settlements 450 kilometers north of the Arctic Circle, the temperature routinely hits -30 degrees. This deep freeze locks every harbor and halts all supply shipments, yet it simultaneously creates a vast, solid highway for the people who live here. To navigate this landscape, the Inuit rely on methods refined over centuries. Hunters load onto wooden sleds, traveling miles out across the solid sea. The engines for these sleds are native Greenlandic dogs. Strict local regulations prohibit bringing any outside breeds into the region, ensuring the bloodline of these highly adapted animals remains intact for winter survival. The environment dictates what the hunters wear. They outfit themselves in thick garments crafted directly from the surrounding ecosystem, relying on materials like sealskin and polar bear fur to insulate against the biting wind. The brutal cold provides the architecture that makes life here possible. It creates the roads, grants access to the hunting grounds, and sustains their way of living. With the sea frozen, hunters can reach deep-water marine habitats on foot. They venture out to track seals, at the exact time of year when the animals are at their plumpest. The hunters navigate around the edges of massive trapped icebergs where seals are known to swim. Using hand tools, they cut specific holes through the thick crust to set up traditional net traps in the dark water below. Stepping onto this surface requires intense observation. The sea ice is constantly shifting, cracking, and refreezing, making it a highly complex terrain that changes its structural integrity from one day to the next. To navigate it safely, the Inuit have developed a highly granular vocabulary. They use distinctly different words for flat ice, newly formed ice, uneven ice, and slushy ice. There is a specific term for the sharp, crusty ice on top of snow, and another for the deep sound the ice makes when it moves. Knowing the exact word for a structural weakness means knowing exactly where it is safe to step, making this rich language an essential tool for keeping the hunters alive. This deep environmental fluency also allows them to harvest much larger marine life. Working in the icy waters, they secure hundreds of pounds of highly nutritious narwhal meat and blubber to feed their families. Bringing food back from the harsh edges of the fjord requires immense effort and skill. For the people here, these expeditions provide a deep sense of meaning and maintain their indigenous identity. That identity relies entirely on a frozen landscape, and the freeze is shrinking. A couple of decades ago, the sea ice would solidify by October. Today, hunters often have to wait until February, and the ice that does form is noticeably thinner. Yet the pressure on this way of life started long before the climate began to warm. The original threat arrived with Danish colonizers, who sought to modernize and industrialize the island. Beginning mid-century, the government implemented a rapid assimilation policy. They forcibly shut down dozens of remote rural settlements and pushed the Inuit population into central hubs to work in commercial fisheries and factories. Families were relocated from their ancestral lands into dense concrete apartment blocks. They traded the vast expanse of ice for standardized urban structures. Uprooting hunters from the land and the roles that defined them created a vacuum in their identity. This disconnection from heritage triggered a mental toll that persists through generations, manifesting today in staggering rates of alcoholism and the highest suicide frequency on the planet. Separating the Inuit from their environment was more than a change in geography. It was an attempt to replace an ancient way of living with a purely industrial workforce. If you travel further south along the coast, the extreme conditions give way to Greenland's capital city of Nuuk. The skyline here is dominated by construction cranes and massive building projects. It is a rapidly growing metropolis of 20,000 people, replacing the silence of the ice with the heavy noise of urban expansion. With fully stocked supermarkets, indoor shopping malls, and heated cars, there is zero absolute necessity for anyone to endure freezing temperatures to find food. When a society gains access to absolute convenience, traditional survival practices often fade away. It raises the question of whether Greenlandic identity can actually endure the comforts of a modern city.
But Greenlanders have spent the last few decades pushing back, pulling political power away from Denmark and reclaiming their cultural autonomy. Even within the city limits, families regularly bypass the local grocery store to go hunting. They actively hike into the surrounding wilderness to track ptarmigan and source fresh seal, putting in the physical effort because they value the practice. A hunter in Nuuk might check an Apple Watch or post to Instagram between office meetings, then spend their evening driving a dog sled out across the sea ice. Parents make a conscious, daily effort to speak strictly in the native Greenlandic language at home. They deliberately teach their children how to navigate the cold and pull food from the water, ensuring the chain of knowledge remains intact. Nuuk may have apartment blocks and cranes, but it sits right on the edge of the deep water, completely surrounded by the rugged stone and drifting icebergs of the Arctic. The Inuit have proven that their heritage is not tethered to isolation. By carrying their language and skills into the city, they have shown that a culture shaped by the ice can successfully adapt to the modern world.
So tell me in the comments what you want to see next. AI, psychology, hidden history, or mysterious stories. You choose the topic, I'll uncover the story. Welcome to Gurvion.